Greetings and salutations, guys. Eric here to review Abigail. This is the latest movie from Radio Silence, a trio that consists of co-directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, and their producing partner, Chad Villela. These guys have given us in the past few years Ready or Not, and Scream 5, and Scream 6, and I'm just going to say they are just delivering one movie after another that I personally love. In this very office, sitting here, if you could see over to my right, you'd see a Ready or Not poster, and you'd see across the room Scream 6 poster. Suffice to say, I've been a big fan of the movies these guys have been making together, and I'm very happy to say that continues with Abigail, which once more shows their talent for blending comedy and horror together. This movie is about a group of six criminals who are hired. They don't know each other. They're hired for basically a kidnapping heist, sort of, to kidnap this little girl who is the daughter of someone very rich, and they're going to hold her for ransom and make a lot of money, except that, of course, the big reveal, as the trailers show, is that this little girl happens to be a vampire. And that's not going to go great for the people that are holding her. I will say, by the way, as an aside, wouldn't it be nice if we could go into Abigail and not know anything about the vampire storyline? Like, if the ads did not let you know that, it'd be kind of an amazing reveal. But I also understand they kind of had to show you something, because if the ads were just, there's a secret, I think in this day and age, you kind of have to give them a little more. Anyway, this movie is loosely based on 1936's Dracula's Daughter, very loosely based. Basically the idea of this daughter of a powerful vampire, and away we go. But I think what they do here is really, really cool with it. They're teaming once more, by the way, Radio Silence, with Guy Busick, who's been the writer, or co-writer, I should say, on all the most recent movies. He was writer on Ready or Not. He co-wrote Scream 5 and 6, and he is back this time with Stephen Shields writing the script together. It is just right from the beginning. I feel Radio Silence just feels like they have such confidence in their movies, and they're so sort of tonally secure. I mentioned how I love comedy and horror blended together, but I also think it's really tricky to pull off, and sometimes it can kind of fall flat, and maybe it's kind of pushing one over the other. Maybe you can't figure out how to tonally mesh those things together, and you just kind of get this sort of mishmash that does not feel right. But their movies, it just flows, and I think once again that is the case here. It's helped by the fact that they have a great cast that are very much in tune with what they're supposed to do. They're operating at exactly the right wavelength. You've got Melissa Barrera is sort of leading the ensemble here. She's the most prominent. They're all using code names. We don't know their real names. She is Joey. Of course, she is reteaming with Radio Silence after Scream 5 and 6, but also this movie opening with a very different aura around everything with Melissa Barrera, because she's so publicly been fired from Scream 7, in a situation that I am one of the people who's very much on Melissa Barrera's side in all this and thinks it's terrible what happened to her with Scream. It's great to have this movie, her with Radio Silence reteaming, and kind of get to see her again as a lead in this movie and show how great she is on the heels of all that, sort of stuff she's had to deal with the past few months. And she's great, and she's got, the team consists of Dan Stevens, Catherine Newton, William Catlett, Kevin Durand, and the late Angus Cloud in his final performance before he tragically passed away last year. They all work really well off each other. They all bring a specific energy. I mean, this is definitely one of those movies that's like a group of people that all have a different skill set. One the hacker, the marksman, and then all have a different energy about their characters and how they bounce off each other. They don't know each other. There's kind of this Reservoir Dogs thing of a bunch of people thrown together who are kind of trying to figure each other out. And all the actors, I think, are wonderful. I think that Melissa Barrera is awesome in this as the lead, and Dan Stevens has so much fun playing this character who's really trying to call the shots as best he can. I kind of feel like, as everyone is great in this movie, but I kind of think Catherine Newton might steal the show here, though. She's been having a great year, because I think in Lisa Frankenstein, she kind of really showed, she also did this in Freaky, I should say, but she's really developed into a wonderful comedic actor as she's gotten older. We grew up with her. She was, so young when she was in one of the Paranormal Activity movies and through the years, but she is really just comedically on point. And her character here, the sort of flippant way she delivers some of her lines, it's very funny. I think she's kind of the powerhouse here comedically as the movie goes on, but everyone is really great. Kevin Durand, he's so big and hulking, and they use that to their advantage as far as pushing it in ways you might not expect with this character. And then, of course, you've got the vampire herself, Abigail, played by Alicia Weir, who is she's 14, so I think she must have been 13 when she made the movie. She's a Irish actor who's done a lot of stage work, doing an American accent, and doing a great job playing this character who, is very small, but very mighty, and is just kind of playing with these people and manipulating them. And then, physically, obviously, is, way more powerful than you might think looking at her. And the very funny and interesting conceit of her being a ballerina. You see this in the trailer, that's like this whole thing where she's in her little ballerina outfit. And in the film, they used that. The fact that she is a dancer and that she is always sort of dancing and moving. And that's part of who she is in a really great way, as she's stalking them, and dance is incorporated into that. And I think the physicality is so good. This movie does kind of evoke Ready or Not in some ways, in that it's almost all entirely based in one location in an old home, and sort of this sort of chase throughout, and characters sort of stalking each other in this house. So there's definitely some similarities there, even though the stories are kind of different, and certainly the characters are very different. But if you liked Ready or Not, and I love Ready or Not, it's actually one of my favorite movies of the past few years, I think this really kind of hits home in a great way, with them in a similar-ish wheelhouse, even though obviously this is way more... there was a supernatural element to Ready or Not too, but this is going way further with the vampire of it all. And then I should also mention Giancarlo Esposito is in this movie. He's the guy who kind of backed this group and brings sort of that presence that now, Giancarlo Esposito can show up and you exactly know that aura that he brings. He brings that perfectly here as well. The movie goes for it, I think, in the way that you expect Radio Silence to at this point, as far as blood and gore. They love to cover their casts in copious amounts of fake blood, and that happens again here. They're also really good, I think, at final fights and final confrontations. I think the Scream movies showed that, as they kind of escalated things, and that happens here as well. There's some lulls here and there, a couple moments that, slow down and, get a little exposition-y, but they're brief, and I think the movie kind of needs those moments to take a breath for a second. And I think it also knows never to take itself too seriously. There's always, some humor to undercut maybe it getting a little too dramatic for its own good, because this movie's not trying to be deep and heavy. Not to say that the characters have no depth. I'm just saying that it's operating at this level where it wants you to have fun. It kind of is winking at you the whole time. And I think that does that really expertly. And by the way, musically, I mentioned sort of the dance incorporation and how that works. There is one scene in particular that involves two of the cast members dance and a Danzig song that is so fantastic. And what both actors do physically, and sort of the dance and the movement they bring, and how it works with the song and the visuals, I just thought it was excellent sequence. The movie plays really well. There's really big crowd-pleasing moments, and like I said, it goes for it within the gore and the effects. And there were some moments that got applause just for, that sort of audacious, wow, they just did that. That's so crazy. As you're seeing the things fly across the screen, various body parts and a viscera. I just really had a great time with this. It maybe isn't quite up to, I'd say like sort of Scream 6 and Ready or Not, I think are so great, and maybe are a little more complex. Not complex, I don't know if that's the right word or not. They're a little more intricate, I think. This movie is in some ways kind of simple as far as once you know like what the basic conceit is. It's like, okay, we're operating on a certain level here. There's some little twists and turns along the way, but what they're doing is just so well done and so entertaining, and makes you really happy just to see more movies from these guys. I know that they're in talks to possibly do a just straight up comedy with Andy Samberg, and I think that they'll do a great job with that. They obviously are so great at comedy. I hope that they will be returning to horror after that, though, because I really love the way they blend these two things together. It's just something that an energy that they bring that is very specific, and I really welcome every time there's a new Radio Silence movie. And I'm still bummed they're not doing Scream 7 and that Melissa Burst's not starring in Scream 7, but what can you do? Anyway, those are my thoughts on Abigail, which I think people will hopefully be having a lot of fun with as it opens this weekend. That's it for now. Take care, guys. Bye.